we are at Kubenheim, and we have such an honor to be able to work a little bit with Dr. Randall Price. And now we have a chance. We would like to interview him about his relationship with NIMI. NIMI means Noah's Ark Ministry International, a group in Hong Kong that's claimed that they have discovered the Noah's Ark in Turkey, Mount Ararat. So, Dr. Price, thank you for willing to be interviewed, and we really hope that whatever you share will help the people in Hong Kong and also around the world to be able to see a better, clearer picture. Let me first ask you, what is your relationship with NIMI? How did you come to know them?
Well, at present, there's no relationship, but initially back in 2007, we heard about wood that had been discovered on Mount Ararat, and in 2008, in January, they were having a symposium, and I was invited along with Dr. Don Patton, Dr. David McQueen, to go as a geological team from the United States to be a part of the symposium and to see the sample of wood, to do our own testing on it. And so, because we were all interested in the subject, we went, and that's when we first met the NAMI officials. They began to interview us and talk about our credentials and take us out on tours and did a number of things. And it was only at a certain point we were allowed to actually see the sample. And it was in a guarded room, took us in there. And so we did different tests on the sample. We did heft test and specific gravity test and Munsell color chart test and many other types of observation tests. And pretty much concluded at the time what it was, but we wanted to go back and take our photographs and take our data and write a report. And that report was written and then taken to Hong Kong to NAMI. I didn't go on that trip. Dr. Don Patton, Dr. Don Shockey, who went because Don Shockey had satellite information that was very important, which we wanted to offer to the Chinese in terms of a partnership. We knew they'd been looking for quite some time. We knew what they had found was not the remains of anything. The report concluded it was simply volcanic tuff, which is a type of rock. And so because of that, we felt that they would be interested in the data we had. We couldn't get, as Americans, permits to get on the mountain at that time. And so the Chinese were able to do it. We said, we'll work together. We have the data, you have the permits, we'll form a team. And they agreed we'd have a joint American-Chinese team, and it was planned for the summer 2008. So that's how our relationship began, and it was very cordial. We had good relationship. We communicated primarily through Clara, who was their representative in the English-speaking world.
Okay, and then what happened? Well, why, you mentioned there is no relationship now, so what happened?
Well, we went as part of the expedition in 2008. We got a call, email from Clara that said that Parachute, who was their Kurdish guide and the man who was responsible for finding things, they had him in with a 60,000 euro retainer. And so he claimed he was standing inside Noah's Ark, he had found Noah's Ark, described it to us, said, if you come, we'll all go. I can take all of you there. And so we brought testing equipment, brought all kind of material. He demanded $100,000 up front. And so we were a little skeptical of that, wanted to pay part of it, but he demanded all of it. And NAMI said, you must do this. We asked for photos. No photos were possible. It was impossible to send them. We had to come and we'd be shown the photos. And so we came and prepared to do the expedition. When we got there, however, we were waiting for the photos. When the photos were finally shown to me first, and then I showed them to others, it was clear from the photos that what had been described was not what we were seeing. We saw, Clara described a wooden structure with a wooden door in it, and told us that was the Ark. She told us about a cave, and the Ark was inside of a cave, and the pictures we saw of the cave had trees, bushes all in front of it, which you don't have at the higher elevations of Mount Ararat, maybe not even some of the lower elevations like that. the wooden structure, like a door, was a rock-cut tomb. I later learned the tomb was not far from Itzhak Pasha there in Dobe Yazid. It was found, and I have photos and drawings of that tomb down in the old village of Dobe Yazid, not far from where Parachute has a restaurant, his brother. So it was not on Mount Ararat. Cave was certainly not, at least where a place could be. And so we said, we're very disappointed, but this isn't what you told us would be seen, what we were promised. And we asked for our money back. NAMI at that point wanted us to be patient, said, trust Parachute. Maybe he doesn't trust you Americans. Well, he means he doesn't trust the Chinese either. I mean, he showed everybody the same pictures. And so we said, okay, we'll be patient, but can we get some proof of this? They sent a man named Phi, who was one of their young photographers, to go with Parachute and some of his climbers, but they turned Phi back and wouldn't let him go all the way, and he didn't have any pictures when he came back. And we ended up staying a month. Nothing ever happened. We weren't allowed to go anywhere, see anything. That was in September. About October, early October, another man came. We climbed the mountain, came down. Parachute was very angry that we climbed the mountain. We said, well, we came to climb the mountain. You didn't take us. We said we couldn't even climb, and here we are climbing. And I spoke in a symposium with Dr. Patton, and after the symposium, Clara came and showed us photos, new photos that Parachute had. The same kind of photos are being shown today of the structure, the stairs, and the hitching post, and the things with the spider webs and the bowls in it, all of that. And we were told we could have the photos if we stayed with NAMI, and didn't tell anybody else about this. And I held true to my word. I didn't do anything, but in 2010, NAMI wanted to make public their discovery. They didn't need me. I wasn't invited to be part of the further expedition. And so they said, you're off the team. And they sent some of our money back to us. And at that point, I felt free to talk about this and to release some of the photos. So that's when the relationship ended.
So from what you have experienced, you are victim of some kind of scam.
Well, to be sure. I mean, and we were very concerned about it at the time. I talked with Andrew and Young Wing and many of the others who represented NAMI and Sun Corporation, where it was at the time, and said, these are our concerns. How can we trust someone who's shown us this and done this? It was only later I found out that all of the pictures in the book that we had been looking at that had a Parachute in a cave said researching a cave on Mount Ararat. This cave was in Diadem, the hot springs, some 40, 50 kilometers away from Dobe Yazid, not on the mountain at all. And the wood that we had looked at that was painted brown in the picture, in the book, was actually white. It was not the same. I mean, been doctored, and there is no accountability when someone knows the picture is not what they're looking at and still publishes it that way. That is an attempt to deceive. It's an attempt to present something other than the way the facts are. And I made appeals to NAMI on that basis. Talked through Clara, wrote letters. I still have the emails today. Never got a reply to any of them. And I was the senior archaeologist on the trip. You thought they would have listened to me, but did not. And because of many appeals from China, from pastors and people in seminary and missionaries, they said, we're hearing all of this, what's the truth? And I felt I had the responsibility, because of what I knew, to make this known. And I published it in such a way that at the time I said, I think NAMI has been deceived, that NAMI is the victim, and that I want the facts to be known. This is what we know now. Because since 2008, I've been going every single year to Mount Ararat. I've climbed every year. I've been involved with people who we've hired as workers who were working for Parachute. And they have told me the stories of how they built a movie set there. We have since sent some of our people to that set. We've published the GPS locations for other people to go and see. We've taken wood that was floated on the surface, because in the summer the thing melts because it's just built down into a side of a fissure in the glacier, and you can't get in it. That's why they only go in the cold winter time. And as a result, we wanted people to know these facts, hopefully so NAMI themselves would say, well, you know, we need to look at this more carefully. We know we can be deceived. A lot of money, the reputation of Jesus Christ and of the Christian community is at stake in this. So I appealed to them on the basis of that and said I felt responsible as someone who was also answerable to the Lord to give the facts as I knew them. I didn't want to malign their character. I didn't want to in any way judge them. But I felt like I had to give the facts as I knew them, because I was one of the few people who had the inside information and had been involved.
In Hong Kong, there are still very famous pastors and quite a number of large part of Christian that they still think that NAMI may have just find the real art. What would you say to them?
Well, I'd say nothing would be more wonderful than if the Ark were found. And I spent a good part of my time, my latter years, looking for the Ark and researching this, and it would be a wonderful thing. I mean, it would honor the Lord, it'd be great, but it has to be done in a scientific manner. It has to be done in a manner that can be subject to peer review so that other people can study this and give objective answers. The testing and everything else needs to be brought out for people to study and compare. There can't be a sense of secrecy or hiding if this is really done for the Lord and for His work. And yet I know too much. I know people involved. I've interviewed them. I've talked with them. I've been threatened by Parachute personally. I've been threatened by others. Not just me, others on our team have been that. I have seen the evidence myself. And I know too much. I know where the wood came from. I don't think the structure that they're showing is on Mount Ararat. Some of it is there. Small parts of it are there that they built by just putting the wood down, cutting into the ice and putting the wood there, and then letting the good freeze come and cover it. But the large things they show is part of a ship from the Black Sea and Trapsum that they bought, or they've taken photos of that off-site. The wood that they had tested came from Esfahan, from a castle there in Iran, and you know, because it was old, but it's like 2,300 years old, but it's not older than that. So it, you know, everything about it, those who look at the pictures have said from the beginning. I asked these questions when I first saw them. I said, why do we have spider webs in here? You know, I don't doubt we could have insects up at Mount Ararat. We've had flies up there. Even at the summit, we've had deer and things that run across the summit. But spider webs inside of a supposedly closed area. The wood doesn't have any of the ancient type of pitch on it that's supposed to coat it inside and out. It's true, it might not be in some parts of the boat, but it says, I mean, they're showing you many parts of the boat, and it's not in any of those parts. The construction of the vessel doesn't seem to fit the ancient idea of construction. Even the bowls that he has in there are more modern type bowls. He has hay in the bowls, straw in the bowls. You see parts of plants growing in the structure, which just is not possible at those elevations, because I've spent now 4 years and a month at a time on top of Mount Ararat. I've talked to the people who are local, so it's just not there. So it's the type of thing that is convincing to people who don't know the area, who don't know certain things, but for those who have a little bit of the background and know also the history of Parachute's deception, the way he's used photographs, the way he's used material. If from the beginning he's been telling lies and deceiving, why should I believe now that he's found the real thing? It's just not the way that you build a case of credibility.